All right, so talking about lesson number 2, adding integers. We talked about last time that an integer is just a number on a number line, no fractions. We discussed positive and negative numbers, so that's that first introduction to seeing them. Ooh. All right, integers like 2 and -2 are called opposites because they are the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides. So it wants me to complete this picture here. So what would be the opposite of 3 that's on that number line provided for me? Oh, and that's my cats playing with the curtain. Right. The opposite of 3 would be -3. Oh, there you go. All right, 2 integers that are opposite are also called an additive inverse. The additive inverse property states that the sum, which we know stands for addition, of any number and its additive inverse is 0. You can show it on a number line. So the way that I like to think of this, which I believe is the most helpful, gotta have my bubbly water, is that when you add, you're going to the right and you're increasing your numbers. Well, oppositely, when you subtract, you're kind of going to the left. So I'm going to use that a lot today, of adding goes to the right, subtracting goes to the left. So what happens is here, especially the 2 plus -2, that'll give me a value of 0 because it essentially is undoing the addition and subtraction. Right. Adding integers with the same sign. To add integers with the same sign, add their absolute values. The sum's going to be positive, both are positive, and then it'll be negative, both are negative. To me, I don't think that's a helpful explanation. I would much rather see a visual representation. So I'm going to do one real quick. Here's the first example. 7 plus 4. So here's 7. And I'm just going to keep going a little bit more to show you why it works. And I just made a random number line. Random about, doesn't matter. I'm going to start here at 7 because that's the number that I'm trying to increase or decrease that amount. And I'm going to increase it 4. And adding goes to the left, so I'm going to increase 4 by going, let me try that again. Adding goes to the right. I have to do opposite because my camera flips. So adding goes to the right, and I'm going to go to the right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we end up with getting positive 11. Which brings to, that's not something new to me today. Adding, of course, gets bigger. Of course, getting bigger goes to the right on a number line. The new part is the second example. And that's -7 minus. And I'm getting in running into my picture, so I had to go and do this. So same idea, gonna just create a number line. Random amount. Again, I'm going to start at that first number, which here is that -7. I'm going to make my A look like an A, not an O this time. And it says -7 plus -4. So I am going to start at -7, and then as I read through the expression, so I'm starting here, so the next thing I see is the plus sign. So I'm going to think, okay, I'm going to start by going to the right because I see plus. So it makes me think that I'm going to go and be getting bigger. But then I see the next thing in line, which is the negative. That negative means that I'm actually going to end up turning around and going backwards. That negative is going to cancel that out. So I'm going to actually go to the left 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, which is why my answer is -11. Personally, I think the double signs here confuse us. I think it's more harmful than helpful. Especially in the future, you're going to be asked to only write one. And I understand to start with, you're adding 2 negatives, so it's going to end up getting a negative. Personally, it's just me. I don't like it. To me, it confuses me more. Plus, negative, which one's going to be? If I only have one sign, then I know what it's going to be, but that's me. We'll get there in another time. So that's my different way of explaining it. I'll do both the book way and my way because, again, I'm working with you guys. I'm not sure which way you're going to prefer, which is absolutely okay. So let's get going and try some examples. All right, -3 plus -2. So since they both start with negative signs, my answer is going to result in negative. So then I pretend that those negatives don't exist because I'm taking the absolute value, and I take 3 plus 2, which gives me 5. So my answer here is -5. All right, -26 plus -17. They both have negatives, so I'm going to have a negative. And I'm going to cross them out for a moment, pretend they don't exist. 26 and 17 get me to 43. So my answer is -43. All right, gentlemen, A, B, and C. All right, -12, -14, and -30. Fat cat, don't you dare sit on that. All right, adding integers with different signs. Now we're going to have positives and negatives getting put together. Whew. Okay, so if you have different signs, you have to look and see which number is bigger. If the positive number is bigger, then the answer will be positive. If the negative number is bigger, then the answer will be negative. So in this first example, I've got 9 and -4. 9 is bigger than -4, so my answer ends up being positive. In the second one, I have -9 and +4. -9 is way bigger than 4, so my answer ends up being negative. Again, I think the number line is more helpful, so I'm going to do the number line to start with. So we're going to find 5 plus -3. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. So I'm going to start at 5. I see the plus, so I want to go to the right, but then I see the negative and I turn around and I got 1, 2, 3. So my answer is 2. Number 4, -3 plus 2. Well, there's more negatives, so my answer should be negative. And it's going to give me -1. That one, to me, the way they do the book, it doesn't help. It isn't as helpful to set up the explanation, in my opinion, because I can create the number line. The number line is a visual representation, and I usually put the -3, and then I do -2, and then -1, and then I'll go the other way just in case, because sometimes I'm not sure which way I'm going to go. So since it's 2, I do 2 on both sides of my starting point. So I start here, and then plus just goes to the right, and I'm going to go 1 and 2. So -2, -1. Try those two on your own. See what you come up with. 6 plus -7 and -15 plus 19. Should get -1 and 4. All right, this one's got that additive inverse that we had talked about. Oh, what? Last chapter? Is this chapter? This one. So I end up having 7 plus -7. So I start here. I want to start going to the right, but then I see the negative, and then I have to go and do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So my answer here is 0. -8 plus 3. I'm going to end with negative, and the difference between 8 and 3 is 5. So I get -5. Let's do a little bit more complex one. 2 plus -15 plus -2. So you have to work left to right. And remember when I said the sign thing confuses me? My negative sign always wins. Whenever you have a plus negative, negative is always going to win. So I like to rewrite them. I think that's way easier to look at, and I can visually see. Again, if you don't think it is, that's fine. Do your number line. I'm okay. So I'm going to approach from left to right since it's addition or subtraction, and I have subtraction here, so I got to do it left to right. So 2 minus 15 is going to give me -13, and then I have to bring down that -2, and I end up with -15. So my answer here ends up being -15. Another thing you could have done is you could have rewritten the problem and keeping the signs the same so that 15 is negative, the first 2 is positive, the last one's negative. If you reorder that and put those guys next to each other, 2 minus 2 ends up giving me 0, and I get also -15. It's just a different way of looking at the problem. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. All right, guys, you got 3. Go. -2, 5, -14. A roller coaster starts at point A. It goes up 20 feet, down 32 feet, and then up 16 feet to point B. Write an addition sentence to find the height at point B in relation to point A, then find the sum and explain its meaning. Okay, so we start up and we go up 20, then we go down 32, and then we go up 16. So 20 minus 32 gives me -12. And then I gotta go back up 16 feet, which gives me 4. So it's 4 feet higher than point A. Facts are fine. Come here. All right, guys, do this one on your own. Temperature's at -3. An hour later, it drops to 6. It drops 6. And then 2 hours later, it rises 4. Or an addition sentence. And then explain its meaning. This time we end up being lower, and the temperature is 5 degrees lower than when the time started. All right, and we are done.